I've just read 2 articles by Dom and by Phil on the Gazette Sports Desk with my cup of tea at lunchtime, and they're both giving their take on Pulis, on the Boro season, and the disappointment that we're probably all feeling now. I think there's a lot of fair comments in there, talking about the fact that they're probably, whilst Pulis is trying to mitigate, some of the club's failings, some of his failings, some of the team's failings, with comments on the financial situation, on the fact he had to cut his cloth accordingly. Other people have got bigger resources. He hasn't had the luck. There's a load of stuff coming out, and he's gradually been kind of feeding into his press conferences in the last few weeks. Bottom line is he's underperformed, and we're all disappointed that we're not in the playoffs. It would have been interesting to see if we had gone up through the playoffs. We'd have snuck in with half an hour to go. We were in the playoff places yesterday, and if we'd have snuck in and beaten an underperforming Leeds side who haven't got any momentum with them, and then got to Wembley and somehow found a way to win, it would have been interesting to see what the season ticket sales would have been like. It would have been interesting to see what the fans would have done. Is that success? Is that enough for the fans to go up the Premier League, but have a style of football that we've seen from Pulis over the last 18 months? I'm not sure. I think Steve Gibson's the one who's got to make the decision on what the objectives of the football club are. But on Pulis, when he was appointed, I thought it was a good appointment. Fantastic organiser. You never get less than 6 out of 10 from a Tony Pulis team. He's a fantastic motivator, and I thought with his background, working class man, hard work, graft, pride in the shirt, all that kind of stuff, he would associate himself with the people of Teesside, with our fans, with the football club, and help get everyone behind. And even if it was a bit blood and guts and a bit direct and whatever from a football point of view, that people would just want to see the ball put forward and get us into opportunities to score goals. And at least we'd have a side that were working hard for the cause and for the hard-earned money of the fans. But the reality is he's fallen short for a number of different reasons. And it's not that simple. Football 2019, the demands are ever increasing. They're unrealistic. The extremes and the opinions that you see in social media, that you see on the terraces, in the ground, that you see everywhere in the game, they all add pressure to a manager. And Pulis, to be honest, unfortunately, he's given them too much ammunition this year. My biggest issue is he doesn't have a plan B. The most frustrating thing for me this year was watching the Burton game, where a League One side, a fairly, maybe top 10 League One side, gave us the ball and said, "Come and break us down." And we didn't have enough creative players on the pitch. We didn't have enough fluency, enough movement, enough complementary kind of tactical work out there to open them up. It was very one-dimensional, and that summed up Boro under Tony Pulis. Give us the ball, give us time and space, and we're going to come and break us down. That's what a lot of teams did to us, and we couldn't break them down. When we didn't have the ball, we were fantastic. Oh, not fantastic, but we were a lot better. So sides like Leeds, concentration, organisation, structure, compactness, all that kind of stuff that Pulis is lauded for, we were really good at. And then we would hit them on the counter, or we would gradually grind them down and break their resolve. But unfortunately, on the flip side was true as well, that too many times that other sides broke our resolve, and those 2 cup games particularly were good examples in my opinion, against Burton and against Newport. So the lack of a plan B, it was very, very clear. He's hugely risk averse, Pulis, everyone knows that. The balance of players that he has in the starting 11 is, of the 10 outfield players, generally there's 7 defensive players and 3 attacking, or 8 defensive players and 2 attacking. That's how it feels to me, and I don't think you could really argue with that on balance. I would rather see 5 and 5, take some more risks, accept that players like Tab, as an example, are going to play, are going to make mistakes, but are going to learn from them. And if it costs us a couple of goals at one end of the pitch, I can handle that. If we create more chances, if we score more goals, and if we play football that keeps everyone happy. Pulis doesn't give a shit about keeping people happy. I think that's pretty clear. He is true to himself and true to his own method, and I respect the guy immensely. for his achievements in the game. I'll never forget what he did at Crystal Palace. I thought that was his most incredible achievement that year. And it's not just there. He did some terrific work at Stoke and at West Brom, and those two football clubs probably didn't give him the credit that he deserved, in my opinion. Boro fans, however, have got probably the right to moan a little bit. But he just hasn't. He won't take those risks. He won't change for anybody. He's unapologetic about it. I think that's caused a real rift between him and the fans who don't like him. The ones who are teetering on the brink, perhaps, sort of not entirely sure whether they like him or not. Unfortunately, he's probably, his lack of willingness to kind of maybe demonstrate a little bit of humility, maybe reach out to them and say, we need you. I think he's just said it's my way or the highway. People like myself, as a coach, huge amount of respect from him. I've learned, a lot from him and other managers like him that have stood me in good stead. But by the same token, I don't think he's developed another side to his armoury that I think you need in modern day football. So, I mean, the disconnect with the fans and Teesside steel, Teesside passion for the borough is huge. I felt he, being a working class lad from an industrial area, he said all the right things, and I thought he would connect with with a team that at least were blood and thunder and organised and physical and direct. And I thought the fans would get behind him, but they want much more than that these days. And I block out the most extreme opinions at both ends of the scale. Pro-Pulis and anti-Pulis. Obviously, there's lots more anti-Pulis out there, and I have to say, the guys in the middle gradually, I think their confidence in him have waned, and I probably count myself as one of those. It's been disappointing how we've not been able to react to situations where it's clear that we're losing momentum or a game is getting away from us, and we've continued to do the same things, and that's Pulis' style. I'm really happy that Lewis Wing and Dale Fry have come out of this with an awful lot of plaudits. I think Pulis deserves a lot of credit for what he's done with them and with Traore last year. He's demonstrated he's a good coach, he's a good man manager, he's a good motivator. He's had a very big influence on quite a lot of players' careers over the years, not just at the Boro but elsewhere. And I think there's a lot of top players who've got a lot to thank Tony Pulis for. I'm pretty sure Lewis Wing will be one of those, because I think that lad's going to go on, and certainly his value in the transfer market has rocketed this year, and he's exactly the type of player that Pulis needed 2 or 3 more of. But he wouldn't play tough, or he wouldn't play more than a certain number of creative players in the team. Wouldn't make space, wouldn't make room for them within his system, and that's his prerogative. But ultimately, he's judged on results. I think now for the future. It's interesting you've got to define, Steve Gibson anyway has got to define what is success for a football club. Now, finances are a huge part of football these days, and I'm sure that there will be a financial plan and a financial objective linked to getting into the Premier League. But you've got to balance that with the style of football and the culture that you create at a football club. I don't think Tony Pulis is the man to reorganise a football club when it comes to recruitment, when it comes to academy, when it comes to a long-term model for a football club. He's a great organiser, but I don't think that he thinks about the game in the way you need to plan long-term a strategy to develop a football club. Now, Graham Potter, as an example, at Stoke, he's not perfect. Sorry, he played for Stoke, but at Swansea, for me, he's not perfect, but if you're going to build something over time that the local community can get behind, that players will buy into as well, and I'll come back to the players in a minute, then he's the type of character who I think is more suited to the modern game. Obviously, his view on how the game should be played and the way he likes the structure that he likes to deploy on the pitch, the style of play, the way to play through the pitch, the way to get the ball forward and create opportunities is very different to how Pulis plays. How good his defensive qualities are in comparison to Pulis. Well, you could argue that might be a weakness, but it's clear that the fans want to be entertained a little bit, and it's also clear that the players, I think, in their performances have become burned out by a very single-minded kind of approach of everything behind Plan A and no deviation from that. I don't think whilst Pulis is a terrific manager and motivator, I don't think his football inspires players. I don't think his style, his match planning inspires players. I don't think his training methods probably inspire players either. He does the donkey work, but the fun element of it, the technical side of things, the bottom line is the game has changed so much. So players and fans and everyone is so much more educated about styles of play, about tactics, about what everyone else is doing, what the extreme footballing teams are doing, and what the more direct teams are doing, and everything in between. And players are no different. They're human beings, and sometimes they enjoy doing certain things more than others. And I think that they were drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled. And maybe in the same way that someone like Mourinho's teams tend to burn out, a Pulis team burns out because they're not mentally stimulated by creativity, by something different. They don't get that spring in their step every now and then when the gaffer says, I tell you what, today we're going to go and play like this. We'll go and play 4-3-3, and we're going to play the three up front really wide and expansive. We're going to try and create space further up the pitch. And okay, they might be able to hit us a little bit, and we're going to have to rely on some decent 1v1 defender at the back, but we want to play a little bit more expansively to create more chances and get possession of the ball in the areas further up the pitch. Pulis, he never did that. He never did that. He might have said it. But even if he said it, I never saw evidence that his structure, his team selection, the personnel, the style of playing through the pitch ever changed. So I think players burn out, and I really feel that was a significant factor in the post-Christmas form. So Steve Gibson has got a challenge now. You go for someone in the style of Graham Potter as an example. Eddie Howe maybe, what he did at Bournemouth. Patience. All right, mid-table championship side for 2 or 3 years, but the fans love the football. We've got young players coming through. We're building value in the football club as well from a financial perspective over time in a slightly different way to getting TV money immediately. And that is, for me, if I'm Steve Gibson, that's how I go. That's how I go about it. The alternative, obviously, is to go for someone. Let's say someone who's fairly direct, who's a winner, but perhaps is a little bit more modern and a little bit more empathetic with the fans and the media and what have you than Pulis is. And so someone like Gary Rowett, maybe as an example, slightly more modern version of Tony Pulis in some respects, might be a bit harsh on both of them, but that type of guy. Danny Cowley at Lincoln, I don't think he's going anywhere for a while, but if I was a chairman, I would be picking up the phone to his representatives, because he and his brother have got the capacity to go out and continue and to win whatever level they're playing at. They find a way to win. Don't necessarily always play the most attractive football. Don't necessarily create long-term value in terms of players, because they rotate players quite quickly. They change their teams. They change the personnel for what they need at that level to win. But they're winners, make no bones about it. And perhaps that's the other route that Gibson goes and says, right, I'm going to get someone in who's that very modern in their thinking in terms of working that way. Looks at marginal gains, looks at sports science, looks at all these things, looks at the community, and engages with the community again, as Don has written about this morning. That's something that Pulis hasn't really bothered to do. And for me, that's just another example of how the game's changed. But listen, we're all disappointed, and we're probably all realistic as well, that if we'd have gone through the playoffs with this group of players, with this manager, it would have been a huge struggle in the Premier League next year. For me, it doesn't matter. I'm a Middlesbrough fan. I was born with that affliction. It's the hope that kills you, and put my coaching hat or whatever on one side. I'm Boro till I die. I'll support them forevermore, as you all will, I'm sure. And I really hope that whatever happens, Steve Gibson, is backed by everyone, because that man deserves all of our support. He's the best chairman in the business. I won't hear anyone say otherwise. He's an incredible chairman. Incredible, not just the money that he's pumped in, but he's put his heart and soul, his passion, his fantastic leadership, and he's sacrificed an awful lot for the football club. There's no other chairman that I will ever look to and say, I wish Steve Gibson was more like him. We've got the best chairman in the business, and whatever he does, he's always going to have my utmost respect. But it's an interesting time, and Gibbo has to show his leadership now. And I've been very interested to hear what the plan is. So have a good summer, everyone. Up the Boro.